It's pretty clear that Scottie Scheffler is the best ball striker on the planet right now, but a lot is made of his footwork. It's certainly interesting and anything but conventional, but when you really break it down and look at it a little bit closer, this is actually pretty textbook motion. So let me take a few minutes to explain why this footwork is so effective and what is going on in Scottie's golf swing that creates this type of footwork. So the most important concept that we need to understand in order to understand this footwork is the concept of lateral shift in the golf swing. Lateral shift is essentially weight moving from one side of the body to the other. In terms of a right-handed golfer's golf swing, that lateral shift is coming from the right side of the body, and through the ball, that weight and that energy is transferring towards the left side of the body. Now, when done right, this pressure shift, this lateral shift, should begin just before the downswing begins. This way, you're kind of creating torque in the golf swing, and when those two work against one another, you're creating a great deal of energy and swing speed, which is going to obviously have your ball go much further. Now, when Scheffler uses this lateral shift to his advantage, he's putting his entire body behind it, and he's a pretty big body. He's an athletic guy. He's 6'3", so it really comes to show that lateral shift and all that weight transfer through his footwork. So let's zoom in slow motion and look at this footwork in detail. So in these early frames, we're at the very top of the backswing, and as you can see, look at that front knee working a little bit towards his target. Look at his whole body shifting towards a target. The feet both stay fairly flat throughout this part of the swing. You see that right knee, that trail knee, start to kind of come into the body. This is an iron swing, keep in mind, so that weight is going to be a little bit forward. But now we can see a little bit of motion in that inside heel, that inside right heel. And as that club comes in, that right heel is completely off the ground. At impact, the right foot is almost entirely off the ground. And then it begins that slide. Now take a look at his front foot. The weight transfers onto that front foot so much that it kind of caves in on itself, and then he's completely left on the outside of his left foot. Now he's going to continue with that rotation. This is really generated through that lower body hip rotation as he continues the rest of his upper body through the ball. At this point, the right foot, that trail foot, is just kind of along for the ride. There's no more weight on it. It's already done its job in creating a lot of kinetic energy and turning that kinetic energy into potential energy, and then it just continues to slide through the ball. Now, it is important to note that this video is from an iron swing. Now again, it is worth noting that this is an iron swing, so there isn't as much swing speed, as much club head speed as we would normally see with a driver, which is when we really see the footwork of Scottie Scheffler get a little bit funky. But I think that it's important to note that although this footwork looks quite unconventional, and I think anyone would admit that, the principles of why this footwork happens in his golf swing are very conventional. It's standard weight transfer. It's what any golfer wants to have in their golf swing. So it really is a good thing to learn from. I know that there are a lot of drills where you can kind of manipulate your footwork. There's a very popular pitching drill where if for a right-handed golfer, you put your right foot way back and then you just kind of lean on that front left foot, and it promotes you swinging down. In that drill, what you're doing is completely isolating the trail side of your body, and throughout Scottie's downswing, that the right foot does the same thing. It's not very far back like it is in the drill, but that, as I mentioned earlier, that foot is just kind of along for the ride. It's already done its job, and then he's getting that weight through the ball. Another popular thing that a lot of people think about or look at when it comes to Scottie's footwork is some of the really bizarre driver swings he has, where after the swing, he just looks off balance and he takes a couple steps to the left. It's just a very awkward motion. What I want to say about that is 9 times out of 10 when we see Scottie Scheffler do that, it's because he's really trying to exaggerate working the ball from right to left. He's a natural fader of the golf ball, especially with 3-wood and driver. So working against that is pretty difficult for him. So he really has to get a shallow club plane, a shallow swing plane, and he has to release his hands and his body intensely in order to get that ball flight, and as a result, after the swing, he's usually pretty off balance. So those are kind of outliers when he really has to work it. We see it a lot at Augusta National. There are obviously several holes at Augusta where driving the ball right to left makes a lot of sense, most notably 2 and 10. So that's the reason why he really looks off balance. I would say in his normal swing, it really isn't that hideous a thing that some people make it out to be. It's incredibly fundamentally sound, and at the end of the day, even if it wasn't fundamentally sound, he is by far the best golfer on the planet. So it doesn't really matter how he does it. It's just a matter of how consistent he does it. All things said, I think this is a really interesting golf swing, and obviously I'm a huge fan of Scottie himself and what he's been able to do in the world of professional golf. Super, super impressive stuff, and obviously a great man with a great character. So if you have any thoughts on the golf swing of Scottie Scheffler, the footwork that I described, any questions on anything that I mentioned, please leave them in the comment section down below. I read and reply to all comments on these videos. As always, I thank you all very much for watching. Play well, and take care.